Hey everybody, welcome back to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on my YouTube channel. And in this video, we're going to take a look at the second plugin module from SSL, the SSL Fusion collection, the 4 plugin for the SSL Fusion. We're going to take a look at the stereo image module today. We're going to listen to it on some drums and maybe on a full mix. I can kind of give you an idea of what it sounds like and let you know, does it sound like a real SSL Fusion, the hardware, because I do have one. So we'll talk a little bit about that. You'll get a chance to listen to it, and then all the links will be in the description box below if you want to check it out for yourself. But before we get to that, if you like what you see in this video, please consider subscribing. Also hit the notification bell. Also, if this is your first time here, go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com because I want to give you a free mixing course. It's right on the home page. You can't miss it. Big orange button. Click on that button. Download your free course today. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you something else that'll help you with some more training on the website if you want to check it out after you check out that free mixing course. So let's go here into Studio One. And here is the Studio One image. So if you have not seen the last couple of videos, I'll leave a playlist in the description box below where I have all of the SSL native reviews that I've done, including the ones for the Fusion, all in that playlist. You can check it out. Now, this plugin collection, if you will, for the Fusion is the 4 modules that are on a real SSL Fusion. And I have one with an SSL console, so I'm very familiar with what it sounds like. Now, this video is not to compare this to the hardware. I'm going to do that eventually over on my other YouTube channel where we talk about hardware and hybrid mixing. That is called Mixing Music Analog. You can check out that YouTube channel. Links will be in the description box below, where we're actually going to compare these side by side to the hardware. But for most people that are watching this video here on this channel, you're really just more interested in the plugin. And so we're going to talk about it. So the first thing I'll tell you is that they're 4 separate modules, and each one of those modules are sold separately, and they're $200 US each. And for $200 US, I think that's awfully steep. As I said in the last video when we did the vintage drive, I think they sound good, but for 200 bucks, I think that's a lot of money. So if you want to have all the plugins to replicate the hardware, the Fusion, you're looking at $800 US. Now, SSL Fusion, the hardware, is about $2,600 US at this point. So it's about 1/3 the cost if you were to buy a real SSL Fusion. So you can look at it that way. However, you can also join the SSL native monthly or yearly plugin subscription, like a lot of these companies have, I think for about $24 a month. And that way you have access to all their plugins, including this. And I think that's probably a better way to go. And before we listen to this, full disclosure, it is not a sponsored video. I paid for these myself. I will have the yearly subscription for SSL. So I have all their plugins in my collection, but they did not pay me. They don't know me. I have no affiliation with them in any way, shape, or form, but I love SSL. I love the hardware, the Fusion. I have an SSL console, so I'm a supporter of SSL, but they're not sponsoring this video. So anyhow, here is the stereo image. So let's take a look at this. It's pretty straightforward. And then we'll take a look at the instruction manual, the quick start guide, so you can kind of see what it does. But anyway, if we walk through the features and the layout here, we have the input meter on the left-hand side, an input trim. We can take the plug-in and out right here. Okay, we have some presets here, which we'll take a listen to afterwards. We have a bunch of factory presets and some producer presets, depending on how you want to use this. Then we have our input trim, as I said. We have our image, our graphic display here in the center, which we'll take a look at once we play some audio. We have this thing called the shuffle, a space, and a width knob. Really simple to use. We can solo the sides, the mid-side thing. Again, when we look at the instruction sheet, I'll show it to you. Output, trim, and then we have an output meter here. So if we want to take a look at the manual here, a little quick start guide here. Here's one of their quick start guide for the stereo image. So here we go. So if you want to know what the controls do, we have the vector scope in the center, right? Which kind of tells you, you'll have a visual representation of how wide your mix is, which is really cool. The shuffle knob changes the cutoff frequency of the space control. So the shuffle and the space kind of work together. The space broadly boosts or cuts the bass frequencies based on the shuffle. So depending on the frequency that you set the shuffle at, the space will either boost or cut those particular frequencies. And we'll get a chance to see how that kind of reacts in the graphic display here in a second. And then the width widens or narrows the mix. Pretty straightforward, right? And then you have this. So these are really cool, really simple to use kind of a thing here. And here's a real SSL Fusion right here. And it's saying that we're taking a look at this module here. Okay, so let's minimize that. So let's listen to this on some drums. This is just a drum loop, Steven Slate SSD5. let's take a listen to what this does. And let's just start with a preset just so you can get an overall feel for what it does. Now, you want to listen to this on good stereo monitors, studio monitors, or headphones. When you're listening to this stereo imaging, you really get the effect more in headphones than you may even in your studio monitors, because it is kind of a subtle effect. So let's take a listen here. So you can just see with that one preset, pure width, it basically is just leaving the low frequency, the space at neutral at 0, and it's turning up the width, right? So you can hear it get wider. You know, again, in your headphones, you'll really hear the difference. But let's just play with the width a little bit. Let's go from all the way off to all the way up, and let's see what that does. And you'll see, by the way, as I turn the width knob, you'll see in the graphic display how it gets very narrow and how it gets wide. So here's more narrow. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. It widens your source material. Now, the thing about stereo imaging and stereo wideners is I think you want to do things in a more subtle way. You want it to sound more natural. But let's keep it all the way up here so we can really hear the effect. And then let's play with the shuffle in the space and see what that does. So let's say... Okay, so we're using in this particular case, 216 hertz, it's boosting at 12 dB, so you can really hear the effect. So this chooses the frequency, and this is how much it's going to boost or cut that frequency. So if you wanted to, say, get rid of some real low rumble at 40 hertz. Or if you wanted to boost it. So depending on the source material, you use these two knobs in conjunction to kind of clean up some of the low end. That's what you do. Pretty cool. A lot of times 400 hertz will typically, especially on drums, will kind of have that boxy sound. Right? So you could dial out that woofiness. So these are just the sides, right? So it cuts out the mids. Now what we're hearing is what's being spread out to the sides. Right? So typically when I'm using the hardware, I usually find myself, oh, and by the way, if you're asking, well, does this sound like the hardware, Dave? Does it sound like your real Fusion? It does. It has the same effect. It is a subtle effect. If you're wearing headphones, it seems a little bit more drastic, and you can get really drastic with it. But stereo imaging is a thing that you want to do in a more subtle way. When I'm using the hardware, typically, and again, it depends on the mix, and we'll listen to it on a fully mixed song here in 1 second. Depends on the mix and the instrumentation in that mix and how things were panned. So let's say it was a track that had lots of guitars and you had a lot of panning left and right and background vocals, a lot of panning left and right. Well, then the width knob on that overall mix may be done in a little bit more of a subtle way because I have a lot of panning. Conversely, if it's not very dense mix, very little instrumentation, not a lot of panning going on, you may jack it up a little bit more. Typically, I find myself between +2 and maybe +4 on the hardware in most cases. Again, the space, we don't have a shuffle knob here on the hardware. The hardware is a little different in the way the space reacts. This is a nice little feature that's only to the plugin. But the width is really cool. And you can't solo the sides like you on the hardware like you can on the plugin. So this is a little different than the hardware, but the overall sound and the way the width kind of works is the same. Sounds very similar. So that's on drums, just drums. So now let's do the same thing and let's listen to this on a full mix. So this is a mix that's already been done. And let's listen to this track here. Let me take off the cycle button and let's listen to this. So this is on a full mix. It's already been done. It was done on my console. Oh, no, excuse me. This mix was done in the box with no stereo imaging at all. So when I did this on my console in another session, I did use the Fusion. This mix doesn't have any Fusion on it. So let's listen to this. This is a country tune by Barry Dryder. Great tune called Going Down Country Rock. Let's listen to what it does.
I'm going down, Lord, I'm going fast. This broken heart ain't gonna last. I would turn it around, but I can't get up. I'm going down, down on my luck. I'm going down, Lord, I'm going fast. This broken heart ain't gonna last. I would turn it around, but I can't get up. I'm going down, down on my luck.
So you can hear on a full mix like that, it's even more subtle. It's nice that it's subtle. The thing with stereo widening plugins in general is when they're overhyped and you get too crazy with it, things can start to sound unnatural, a little bit phasey. This sounds really good. It just kind of lifts it up and pushes it out. It reminds me very similarly of the Ozone 9 plugin, which has the mastering suite, which has their stereo imager. A little bit more control in that plugin, but very similar where it's just doing what it's supposed to do and it's not making things sound weird, which is really cool. And again, now we can solo the sides of this and see what just the sides are doing.
No, I got the two hands of it.
Right, so you don't really hear the vocal because the vocal's typically up the middle, right? Vocal snare, what you're hearing is the reverb.
Mr. Blue going down. Hey, Lord, I'm going fast. This broken heart ain't gonna last. I can turn it around.
So it sounds great. It's a great plugin. Here's the thing, and I said this in the last video, and I'll say it again. For $200, it's too much money. I'm a little, I wouldn't say disappointed. It doesn't matter to me. To buy, the way you'd want to use these, and we're going to do this in the last video. I'm doing each one in the individual module videos. I'm going to do a last video where we put all of them on the master bus, kind of like having a real Fusion where you have all 4 modules that you could turn on and off independently or use them all together. Just like the hardware, you could turn off each one of the modules on the hardware. Typically, I keep them all in most times. For $800, it's too much. It's steep. It sounds great. There's nothing wrong with the way it sounds, but there are other plugins on the market that you can get that could do the same thing as these modules for a lot less than $200 each that sound great. And I've talked about that in other videos. And so where I think the solid state Logic plugins are really great, and all of their plugins are overly expensive, I think, but they sound great. So, I mean, it's kind of catch-22, but these are brand new. And the reason why they're $200 each, if I had to guess, is because the SSL Fusion hardware is extremely popular. If you watch any of the videos on YouTube about the review of the hardware, you don't see a bad review. People love it. They say how amazing it is. And honestly, I think it's a little overhyped on YouTube. I don't think it's as amazing as people say on YouTube, but I have one and I like it and it's not going anywhere. But I don't know that it's amazing. I think it's good at what it does. Having said that, because that box is so popular, a year after they put, not even 6-8 months after they put out that box, I think they put out a bundle of plugins, and they're charging top dollar for them because they can, because everyone wants the hardware, and the hardware is almost $3,000 and you can get this for $800. And so I get it from a business perspective, but I would also say that there are other plugins on the market that are cheaper that will give you the very similar results. Look at people like Slate Digital, Plugin Alliance, and there's others. And so that's what I would say. It's a great sounding plugin. I think it's too much at $200 a piece. I wouldn't tell you run out and buy this for $200. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. For less than $800, you can buy the entire Isotope Ozone 9 advanced version, which gives you way more modules than what this Fusion gets, and you can get similar results out of it. And I think you only pay $500 for that. And I would tell you buy that before you bought these Fusion plugins. That's just my opinion for what it's worth. However, if you do go with the plugin subscription, the monthly or the annual subscription like I did for $140 or whatever I paid per year, and not only do I get all 4 Fusion modules, but then I get all their other plugins, including their channel strip, new version 2, their bus compressor, the vocal processing, the drum channel strip, that in those bundle, and I think that's probably 12 plugins you get. Those are worth $150 a year. If you really like the solid state Logic stuff and you want to use it, that would be the way to go. And then when you get tired of it, you just stop your subscription and try something else. I wouldn't buy these outright at $200 each. Wait for them to go on sale. I think they're too much money, but it sounds good. So I'm just here to give you the information. You do whatever you want, but that's my opinion. So that is the stereo image plugin by Solid State Logic. Again, part of the Fusion. Again, if you want to check out the other videos, check the link in the description box below. So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. And as I said at the beginning, make sure you go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Get your free $100 mixing course right on the website. It's my gift to you just for visiting there. Go get it. It's free. If you take that course and you like my style of teaching and you want to check out some of my other paid training courses, and I have everything from recording to mixing to mastering, EQ compression, parallel compression, and so much more, great for beginners, intermediates, and I even have a mixing masterclass for you advanced cats out there. I want to give you a 25% discount on anything on my website. All you have to do is use the coupon code YouTube25, put that in checkout. Take 25% off. All the information's in the description box below. So until the next video, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.